Chapter 821. Orissa finished cooking the pasta, and Edwin helped to serve the food on the table so that the children, Kingsley, and the others could help themselves. "Uncle Kingsley, Mr. Patterson, and Mr. Bailey, please enjoy the food," Gavin said as he pushed a plate of food in Kingsley's direction. Zachary pushed his plate toward Sean too. "Mr. Bailey, please enjoy the pasta. Mr. Patterson, you too," Tim said as he passed a plate to Jonathan. The three of them were elated and accepted the children's offer. "Hurry up and eat. I'm going to cook some more if this is not enough," Orissa said as she went to fetch some plates for her kids. "Mrs. Graham, the barbecued meat was really good," Kingsley said with a wide grin. "We don't have any streaky bacon at home anymore. I'm going to make you some more next time," Orissa remarked. "Thank you, Mrs. Graham. I sure hope I am welcome here every day." Kingsley wolfed down the scrumptious pasta, the delectable taste making him grin from ear to ear. Sean and Jonathan found his demeanor amusing. "You're truly the one with the most time to spare, huh?" Sean was always busy at the hospital, while Jonathan was busy with his cases at the law firm. Of the three of them, Kingsley was indeed the one with the most time to spare. "Don't worry, I'm going to take photos and show them to you guys," Kingsley said. Sean and Jonathan exchanged glances with each other and shook their heads. "Is the food not enough to stuff your mouths?" All of them dared not utter a single word more after Benjamin spoke up. Orissa chuckled. Then, she reminded her kids, "Be careful of the hot foods." "Thank you, Mommy. Thank you, Miss York." The 6 children piped up. "Tim, are you still calling your mommy Miss York?" Kingsley asked the little boy in a teasing manner. Tim lowered his head awkwardly. Orissa smiled and patted her son's head. "It's all right. Just ignore him and eat your pasta." "Okay," Tim nodded. Orissa was delighted to see all her children enjoying the pasta. "You take a seat and eat too." Benjamin tugged at her. "Do you want some?" Orissa turned around and asked. "I'd like some soup," Benjamin said as he looked at the others enjoying their food. Orissa went over to the kitchen to fetch him a bowl of soup full of seafood and vegetables. "You have to finish it," she said. Benjamin did not protest. "Mrs. Graham, do have some too." "I'm going to prepare some snacks," Edwin stated. "Could you get us some fried chicken wings, please?" Kingsley took it upon himself to order some food. Edwin chuckled in amusement. "Mr. Watts, do you want anything else? Get me some beef skewers, corn on the cob, and some beer," Kingsley added with a chortle. "Is the food not enough to stuff your mouths?" Edwin asked Sean and Jonathan if they wanted anything else, and the two did not add more to Kingsley's list. "Mrs. Graham, what about you?" Edwin asked as he looked at Orissa. "It's all right. Just prepare what Mr. Watts asked for but in a bigger portion." "I've already had some food outside," Orissa replied with a smile. Edwin then headed inside to prepare some more food. Benjamin enjoyed his scrumptious soup without another word. It was a bowl of warm and comforting soup. Orissa, Kingsley, and the others were satiated after enjoying the delicious pasta. "My sweethearts, do you want some more?" Orissa kept her eyes on her children's bowls. "I've had enough, Mommy," Gavin replied. "Me too," Zachary said. "Miss York, I'm good," Tim informed. Oliver and Jasper shook their heads as well as they stated, "Mommy, we've had enough too." "Mommy, I want one more serving of this," Jessie chimed in after looking at her 5 brothers. "I'm going to get you some more after this," Orissa said dotingly as she patted her daughter's head. "You have such a good appetite," Kingsley quipped. He found Jess's little cheeks plump and adorable. Sean cast a glance at the little girl, amazed by her huge appetite. Kingsley looked at Jessie and then at Orissa. "Jessie looks just like you, Mrs. Graham." Chapter 822. Orissa smiled and patted Jess's head gently. "You look more and more like a girl." Everyone turned to look at Jonathan as he said that. Sean and Kingsley's eyes were filled with smiles. Gavin, Tim, Zachary, Oliver, and Jasper turned to look at Jonathan as well before they snuck a glance at Benjamin. His eyes darted back and forth between Orissa and Jessie, and he realized that Jessie did look a lot like a girl. He turned to look at Jonathan and said, "He is still young. It's normal for him to look like his mother. He's going to look more like a boy when he grows up." Jonathan smiled and nodded. Benjamin was right. It was difficult to identify a child's gender from their looks alone when they were really young. Jessie hid behind Orissa with a mischievous glint in her eyes. Orissa was enthralled by the amusing exchange. Edwin came out of the kitchen. Noticing that Orissa did not intend to let Benjamin know that Jessie was, in fact, a girl, he bit his tongue as his lips curled into a slight smile. "I'm done with the chicken wings. Here, have one each." Edwin handed one to every child and the last one to Orissa before he headed into the kitchen to prepare more. "Thank you, Mr. Whitley." The children were delighted and munched on the chicken wings. It was as if they were having supper outside. "Mr. Watts, Dr. Bailey, Mr. Patterson, please enjoy the chicken wings." "Mrs. Graham, it's all right. We will help ourselves. You have some too." Kingsley took over the plate of chicken wings and passed one to Jonathan and Sean. Noticing that there were two left on the plate, he was elated. "Ha ha, I have two." Benjamin threw a glance at him. "Give it here." Kingsley peered at him and hurriedly took his chicken wing. "You don't eat wings." Benjamin glared at him, and Kingsley hurriedly passed the chicken wing back to him. "You take it," Benjamin said as he passed it to Orissa. Everyone burst into a fit of giggles. "Benjamin, be careful not to overfeed your lady," Kingsley remarked as he looked at the two. Benjamin rolled his eyes at him. "Are you really not going to eat?" Orissa asked with a smile on her face. "No," Benjamin answered. He was focused on finishing his soup. He still had half a bowl to go, even after everyone had finished their pasta. Benjamin continued to enjoy his bowl of soup. Orissa was full after eating 2 chicken wings. The beef skewers and corn on the cob were finished by the others. She took care of her children as they ate. Benjamin picked up a piece of corn and placed it on her plate. "I can't finish it. You take it," she uttered as she looked at him. Benjamin did not like corn either. Hence, he gave it to Jessie instead. The little girl was thrilled as her eyes lit up with joy. "Thank you, Mr. Graham." Benjamin eyed Jess's rosy pink lips and fair porcelain skin as she thanked him. "Jessie does look like a little girl." Orissa had noticed that Benjamin had spared more glances at Jessie, and her lips curved. Will Benjamin be mad if he learns that Jessie is, in fact, a girl? Everyone but him already knows about it. Well, I can't blame him for getting furious later now, can I? They suddenly locked gazes with each other, and Orissa hurriedly averted her gaze guiltily. "What is this woman trying to hide from me?" Benjamin had noticed Orissa's odd demeanor. After everyone was full, he summoned Sean to the study to discuss the next day's surgery. Jonathan and Kingsley followed them into the study as well. Orissa did not know what they were going to talk about, and she did not think it was appropriate to try to barge in either. Hence, she brought the kids upstairs for their bath. After putting the kids to bed, Orissa returned to the master bedroom's bathroom to take a bath. After she was done, Benjamin was still nowhere to be seen. Hence, she headed downstairs to take a look. Benjamin and the others were just heading out of the study. "Are you guys done with the discussion?" Orissa asked. "Yes," Benjamin replied. "We're going back now, Mrs. Graham." Sean, Kingsley, and Jonathan stated before they left. "Drive safely, guys. Let's go upstairs and rest." Benjamin spoke as he took her hand and led her upstairs. Chapter 823. "You're done with things?" Orissa asked, turning to look at Benjamin. Benjamin nodded. "Yeah." Then, he canted his head and cast a glance at her. "Grand dance operation is scheduled for 9 o'clock tomorrow morning," he remarked. "I see." Orissa nodded in acknowledgement before adding, "So, we're heading over after sending the kids to school." "Yup," Benjamin replied with a bob of his head. "Indeed, we've got to go over to the hospital tomorrow." Upon returning to the room, he gave Ethan a call, instructing him to reschedule the meetings in the morning so that he would have the morning available. Orissa eyed him for a moment before going into the bathroom to draw a bath for him. When she came out, he was still on the phone with Ethan. The latter was probably updating him on work. Straightening the room for a bit, she went to bed. Even then, Benjamin was still talking on the phone on the balcony. She heaved a sigh. Truly, he's quite busy. Some time passed before the man finally ended the phone call. "Quick, Go and take a bath. The water is getting cold. Okay. Nodding smilingly, Benjamin pivoted and headed to the bathroom. Do you have a lot of work tomorrow morning? If so, you don't have to go to the hospital. It'll be fine with me there, Orissa suggested, discussing that matter with him. Benjamin glanced over his shoulder at her. It's just some routine meetings. I've told Ethan to reschedule them. Seeing that he wanted to go with her, Orissa nodded. I don't mind as long as you can handle things. At that, Benjamin quirked an eyebrow. Sleep first. I'll take a bath. Only after the man had gone into the bathroom did Orissa go through the emails on the phone. When Benjamin exited the bathroom and saw that she was still awake, his lips curved into a devilish smile. You're waiting for me. Embarrassment flooded Orissa. Nope, I'm going through my emails. Benjamin strolled over to her. As Orissa glimpsed his muscular figure out of the corner of her eye, her heartbeat accelerated. He's simply a walking pheromone dispenser, astoundingly handsome when clothed and seductively sexy in the buff. Surreptitiously gulping, she forced herself to concentrate on her emails. Plopping down beside her, Benjamin wrapped an arm around her. Then, he leaned down and kissed her on the forehead. It's time for bed. Why are you still going through your emails? He dipped his eyes and swept a gaze over her. Orissa lifted her eyes and glanced at him. Aren't you busy with work as well? Benjamin pinned a scorching gaze on her, involuntarily taking a few deep breaths as he inhaled the alluring fragrance wafting off her. Have you applied the salve? When his hand rested on her stomach, Orissa trembled slightly. A blush stained her face. Yeah. Staring at her fixedly, Benjamin questioned sternly, really? Orissa was rendered speechless. Sliding down in bed, she placed her phone on the bedside table and pulled the blanket over her head to sleep. Benjamin arched an eyebrow and regarded the woman wrapped in the blanket with a smirk. Don't you find it stuffy in there? He tugged at the blanket. However, Orissa had it wrapped around her tightly. Come out, Benjamin coaxed gently, tugging at the blanket again. Poking her head out, Orissa swiftly stole a peek at the man. It's time to sleep. Benjamin's thin lips turned up, and he drawled, what am I going to use when you hog the entire blanket? It's not cold anyway, Orissa muttered. Benjamin gazed at her intently. Wiggling, Orissa relinquished her hold on the blanket. Following that, Benjamin lay down. Pulling the blanket over his body, he moved over to her and pulled her into his arms. Orissa went as stiff as a board, not daring to move a single muscle. Benjamin pecked her on the cheek. When he noticed that she didn't dare move at all, a smile played on his lips. Good night. The tips of Orissa's ears went red. She waited for a while and only relaxed upon seeing that he wasn't doing anything further. She squirmed to ease her stiff muscles. Thinking that the man was asleep, she moved a second time. Benjamin tightened his arms around her and brought his lips to her ear. Stay still. Orissa stilled. She sneaked a look at him, only to meet his dark gaze. At once, she averted her eyes. I can't sleep when you're hugging me like this. In response, Benjamin chuckled lowly. Chapter 824. I can't sleep if I don't hug you. Benjamin plastered his face against hers, his breath hitting her in the face as he spoke, sending a tingling sensation racing through her. Orissa's heartbeat started picking up speed. So, I'm merely your bolster, huh? That's not all you are to me. Benjamin's voice was incredibly tender. Orissa turned to look at the man, but her lips just so happened to brush against his. An electric current spread from their plastered lips to their entire bodies, sparking a fire within them. Benjamin's gaze darkened. Cradling the back of her head, he deepened the kiss. Orissa felt as though he was taking possession of her soul. Her mind went blank, and her heart raced. After kissing her for a while, Benjamin recalled that she still had an injury. He brought things to a screeching halt instead of going further. He rested his forehead against hers. Both their breathings were chaotic, blending together in an amorous and intimate ambiance. Benjamin was trying his best to calm his rapid breathing and leash the desire surging within him. Orissa, on the other hand, lowered her eyes as she panted. Despite having been intimate with him, she still lacked self-control every time he kissed her. Her face would flush bright red, and her heart would flutter with the stirrings of love just like a young maiden. You're also my Mrs. Graham. Benjamin's voice rang out, tinged with a hint of hoarseness, strumming her eardrums. A tingling sensation coursed through her. Unbidden, the corners of Orissa's mouth lifted. How is that so? Who else could you belong to if not me? Benjamin frowned deeply. His voice went up a few decibels, forceful and domineering. Orissa's crystalline eyes flickered, hypnotizingly mesmerizing. We're not married, so isn't the title of Mrs. Graham unrecognized by law? Leaning down, Benjamin pinned her on the bed. His arms were propped on both sides of her, his eyes locked on her. Orissa's heart pounded all the more wildly. Meeting the man's dark and searing gaze, she instinctively swallowed. She felt as though he was going to set her afire. You'd like to marry me? Benjamin stared at her petite face with a smirk, looking roguish beyond belief. Orissa looked away, but she then felt that she was at a disadvantage, so she met his gaze once more. She boldly pinched the man's handsome face. Are you going to marry me if I say yes? Benjamin's eyes remained fixated on her, the curve of his lips deepening. Yes. Words eluded Orissa. Is he for real? She gaped at him in disbelief. At that, Benjamin pinched her cheek with his long and slender fingers. Is it that surprising? Orissa nodded in a daze. Benjamin chuckled. We'll go and register our marriage tomorrow. Again, Orissa was so shocked that her jaw dropped. Nudging her chin up, Benjamin rolled off her and lay down at the side before pulling her into his arms. He rested his chin on the top of her head. Well, snapping back to her senses, Orissa muttered, I thought I'd need to expend much effort to win you over. It really lacked a sense of accomplishment when he agreed so readily. As soon as Benjamin heard that, the corners of his mouth arched in elation. He lowered his eyes and took in her stupefied expression. His voice was tinged with delight. You want to win me over? Orissa blinked. Yup, I boasted of it with old Mr. Graham. Benjamin quirked an eyebrow, but at the thought of her distancing herself from him in the past few days, his brows creased deeply. Snorting, he huffed, why didn't I at all feel that you were pursuing me? Orissa looked up at him. I thought there was someone you liked, so I didn't want to be the bad guy and break up true love. Benjamin went silent for a moment before asserting, you can continue pursuing me after we get married. Not quite believing her ears, Orissa jerked her head up to look at him. Alas, she hit his chin. Such excruciating pain shot through Benjamin that his face contorted in agony. Can you please be more careful, woman? He needed his chin. It was an accident. Apologizing, Orissa hurriedly checked him out. Does it hurt badly? Let me apply some ointment on it. She got up to retrieve the ointment, but Benjamin yanked her back and enfolded her in his arms. Don't wander around in the middle of the night. It's not that severe, for the pain will pass in a while. In truth, he didn't want her to leave his embrace. Chapter 825. It's better to apply some ointment, lest you end up disfigured. Prying his hand away, Orissa got up and searched for the ointment. Benjamin's mouth twitched. He lay on the bed and watched as she rummaged for a while before revealing, the ointment is downstairs. Ah, you should have said that earlier. Shooting him a glare, Orissa whirled around and left the room. She went downstairs to look for the medical box and took the ointment upstairs. Then, she sat on the edge of the bed and poured the ointment into her hand before massaging his chin. Benjamin studied her focused expression intently, the corners of his mouth lifting a fraction. Are you hoping that I'll stay wide awake that you're applying so much ointment on me? The ointment was potent, so the smell of it seeped right into his lungs. Orissa threw him a look. I'm not applying that much, and it'll all be gone in a while. After screwing the cap back, she placed the ointment on the bedside table. Subsequently, she washed her hands before returning. Get in. Benjamin jerked his chin up and motioned for her to climb into bed. Orissa eyed him for a moment before she complied. No sooner had she lay down than the man pulled her into his broad arms. Benjamin rested his chin against her shoulder. Orissa scented the strong ointment smell as well and was much more awake. Stay still. Are you trying to put me out of commission? Benjamin teased. The corners of Orissa's mouth twitched. Serves you right for speaking so domineeringly. Benjamin arched an eyebrow. Is it domineering to say that you can continue pursuing me after we get married? Didn't you say it yourself that you wanted to win me over earlier? At his remark, Orissa giggled. Yeah, but why should I still pursue you when we've gotten married? She turned, coming face to face with him. Her eyes shimmered, radiating a crystalline glow. They sparkled like stars, so stunningly beautiful that he couldn't take his eyes off them. Benjamin stared right into the depths of her eyes. Why not? They're non-conflicting issues. It wasn't that no women professed their love for him. In fact, there was no lack of women desiring to get into his bed. However, he didn't like them all. Truth be told, they even repulsed him. Orissa, on the contrary, had his heart racing when she admitted that she wanted to win him over. He turned into a wide-eyed boy as sheer anticipation rushed through him. In response, Orissa rolled her eyes. Why aren't you the one to pursue me? I've never experienced the feeling of being pampered and wooed, especially by someone I like. I'd also like to have a taste of romance while dating, okay? Benjamin's eyes flickered, and his thin lips curved into a devilish smile. In an impish tone, he teased, so, you want me to pursue you, huh? He pinched her cheek indulgently. Slapping his hand away, Orissa admitted shyly, anyone would want that. I'm also a woman, okay? Why should I marry you when you didn't even pursue me? What if you were to say that I offered myself to you on a silver platter when we have a row in the future? Benjamin raised an eyebrow. We aren't even married yet, but she's already worried about the times when we have a row in the future. How would there be an opportunity to have a row if you don't marry me? Orissa's lips pressed into a thin line. I was referring to me offering myself to you. At that, Benjamin snorted. Did you? Casting a glance at him, Orissa retorted in a whisper, I did give birth to a few children for you. Benjamin chortled. Those are my children. How does that count? Orissa was promptly left without a retort. Well, they're indeed his children. Again, Benjamin pinched her cheek. If you want me to pursue you, go with me to register our marriage tomorrow. Her heart hammering all the faster, Orissa gazed at the serious and domineering man. Are you proposing to me? She inquired softly. Narrowing his eyes a fraction, Benjamin pinned them on her. I'm not proposing, but informing. Orissa's lips twitched several times. Gah, he just won't allow me to bask in the romantic ambiance. No one acts so bullishly as him. What's the big deal about proposing? Is it going to humiliate him or something? When Benjamin glimpsed her cheeks that were puffed up indignantly, a flash of amusement flittered across his eyes. Let's sleep. We've got to wake up early tomorrow. He encircled her in his embrace with his arms locked around her. Orissa remained a touch morose. What day is tomorrow? Can I decline? An auspicious day, Benjamin answered. Orissa pondered for some time, but she couldn't figure out how it was auspicious. You've checked the calendar. The day we get married is naturally an auspicious day, Benjamin declared imperiously. At once, Orissa was struck dumb. Chapter 826. Subsequently, Orissa studied Benjamin. It seems like a pretty good idea to marry him. No matter what, I'll be on the winning end. Not only is he handsome, but he's also incredibly wealthy. On top of that, he even promised to pursue me as long as we got married. That's quite tempting. Why are you grinning away? Benjamin pinched her cheek when he noticed the silly smile on her face. She seems to be inexplicably smiling to herself every so often. Orissa beamed so widely that her eyes became mere slits. You're really going to pursue me after we get married? Benjamin took a long, hard look at her. An imperceptible glimmer of shrewdness glinted in the depths of his eyes. Yup, we'll see after we've registered our marriage. Unfortunately, Orissa had no inkling of the man's thoughts. She continued reveling in her glee. The curve of her lips deepened. At the sight of her euphoria, Benjamin dipped his head and kissed her cheek, his thin lips quirking up slightly. Let's sleep. Okay. Nodding, Orissa closed her eyes to sleep. She initially thought she wouldn't be able to sleep, but she slumbered deeply in no time. Surprised, Benjamin quirked an eyebrow when he saw that she had dozed off so quickly. He stared at her peaceful sleeping countenance fixedly, kissing her here and there. Ticklish, Orissa reflexively dodged. Afraid that he would wake her, Benjamin finally stopped messing around and locked her in his embrace. Inhaling the fragrance emanating from her, he promptly drifted off as well. The next day, Orissa woke up early in the morning, refreshed and rejuvenated. Glimpsing the slumbering man beside her, she was intoxicated by his handsome face for a time. Benjamin's thick eyebrows, high nose bridge, and crimson lips were so mesmerizing that she couldn't take her eyes off them, whether she looked at them individually or together. He was so striking that the word exquisite fit him to a T. Even in sleep, his inherent nobility and imperiousness were still exceedingly evident. She giggled softly. Without warning, Benjamin opened his eyes. He gazed right into the depths of her eyes. In the next moment, he pecked the corner of her mouth. "How long have you been awake?" Orissa jolted back to reality, her cheeks flushing slightly. "I just woke up." Benjamin arched a brow in disbelief. "She doesn't look groggy at all. Instead, her eyes are clear and bright." A smile tugged at his lips. "You've been staring at me since you woke up." Orissa glanced at him, riposting coquettishly, "Is that not allowed?" "Of course, it's allowed." In a good mood, Benjamin nodded smilingly. Orissa stole a peek at him. Caressing the top of her head, Benjamin urged, "Go and shower. Later, we'll register our marriage." In a flash, Orissa's heartbeat accelerated. He was serious. "Aren't we going to the hospital today?" She abruptly remembered that Mary was going to have an operation. "There probably won't be enough time. I'll have the employees from City Hall come over." Benjamin pinched her cheek. Surprise flooded Orissa. Seeing that the man had gotten out of bed, she hastily did the same. "How nice to have money." "No, that's not quite right. It's more like clout works wonders. It isn't quite possible if ordinary people wish to have employees from City Hall come to their house to register their marriage. The marriage rate is low right now, so they'll come to your doorstep to serve you with a single phone call," Benjamin explained, seemingly seeing right through her. Orissa eyed him dubiously. "That's only because of your impressive sway." Benjamin's thin lips turned up imperceptibly. "Quick, go and brush your teeth." Thrilled to the core, Orissa hurriedly went to brush her teeth and wash her face. Benjamin joined her. As the two of them stood side by side brushing their teeth, it made for a heartwarming sight. When Orissa had finished washing up, she couldn't decide what to wear. "Wear my shirt." Benjamin tossed one of his white shirts at her. Catching it, Orissa gaped at the man in surprise. "Your shirt. The wedding photo will turn out stellar like that." Benjamin changed into a shirt dashingly, exuding enthralling pheromones with every single movement. Orissa was dazzled, a blush staining her face as her heart started racing. She swept a gaze over her clothes in the closet, but there wasn't any suitable white women's shirt for the wedding photo. Hence, she had no choice but to wear Benjamin's shirt. However, it was so large on her that it could be a dress. Thus, she tucked the hem into her pants. She also folded the sleeves up a few times. "Well, this is much better. It doesn't matter what I wear for the bottom half since it won't show in the photo anyway." Chapter 827. Orissa then straightened her clothes in the mirror before walking out of the closet. By then, Benjamin was already ready. He sat on the couch, looking as casual as ever. Hearing movement, he turned and cast his gaze over. Orissa's complexion was impeccable, fair with a hint of rosiness. On the whole, she appeared angelic. Dressed in his shirt, she even seemed a few years younger than her actual age, looking like a university student who had yet to step into society. Despite that, her bright eyes carried a hint of womanly allure. Even without makeup, she was so stunningly beautiful that she took his breath away. Benjamin's eyes darkened a shade. When he continued staring at her, Orissa grew a tad uneasy. She tugged at her clothes. "How is it? Do I look strange?" Benjamin walked over to her. Stretching out a long and slender arm, he pulled her into his arms and captured her lips. Orissa thumped him on the back. "I haven't applied makeup yet." Benjamin only dropped his hold on her after nipping her lip. "You look stunning." She has no idea how seductive a woman is to a man when she's wearing his shirt. Benjamin's eyes darkened once more. Orissa was baffled for a moment before she realized that he was answering her question earlier. The blush on her face turned all the more enticing. I'm going to apply some makeup. Going over to the dressing table, she quickly put on some makeup. Benjamin sat on the bed and waited for her. Downstairs, employees from City Hall had arrived. Edwin thought that it was Darius who called them over. He ushered them into the living room for a seat before swiftly going upstairs to inform Benjamin about it. Knock, knock. Are you up yet, Mr. Graham? Benjamin got to his feet and went over to open the door. He looked at Edwin inquisitively. What's the matter? 2 employees from City Hall came, saying, they're here to register your marriage with Mrs. Graham. I have them waiting in the living room. Should I ask them to leave? Edwin inquired cautiously. I called them over. Take them to the study to make the preparations. We'll be there in a while, Benjamin instructed. For a second, Edwin was stunned. When understanding dawned that the man wanted to register his marriage with Arissa, he was over the moon. I'll go and take them to the study to make the preparations right away, he exclaimed, grinning from ear to ear. He then went back downstairs. Benjamin turned and glanced at Arissa. When he saw her growing frantic, he stuck his hands in his pockets, his thin lips curving upward. Take your time. Arissa glowered at the man through the mirror. How am I to take my time when the employees from City Hall are already here? Speeding up, she completed her light makeup. Then, she finished it off with a bit of lipstick and pulled her hair into a ponytail. After checking her makeup in the mirror, she headed toward the door. I'm ready. Benjamin's eyes stayed on her face for several seconds. How pleasing to the eyes. She's all the more beautiful with a bit of makeup. Taking her hand, he walked out of the room. Just then, Zachary shuffled out of his room. His eyes went wide when he noticed them dressed identically. Curious, he inquired, Mommy, Mr. Graham, where are you both going? At his voice, the 5 other children dashed out of the room. They all regarded the couple inquisitively. Your mommy and I are going to register our marriage, Benjamin revealed. The jaws of all 6 children dropped in shock. Can we tag along, Daddy? Sheer anticipation inundated Gavin. Benjamin swept a gaze over him. We're doing it at home. Having said that, he dragged Arissa downstairs. Utterly surprised, the 6 children chased after them. Why are you suddenly marrying Mr. Graham, Mommy? Zachary queried. We didn't know anything last night. All the children alternated their gazes between Arissa and Benjamin. Don't tell me Mommy was coerced by Daddy last night. It was a spur-of-the-moment decision. Arissa looked at them gingerly, afraid that they would object. At that, the 6 children exchanged glances. Has Mr. Graham proposed to you, Mommy? Jasper trained his eyes on Benjamin. Arissa likewise sneaked a peek at Benjamin. Benjamin looked at Jasper before shifting his gaze to Arissa with a pointed look in his eyes. Have I proposed to you? Chapter 828. As Arissa clocked the look in Benjamin's eyes, the corners of her mouth twitched, and amusement danced in her eyes. As Arissa clocked the look in Benjamin's eyes, the corners of her mouth twitched, and amusement danced in her eyes. Turning, she answered, he has proposed, sweethearts. All 6 children looked the couple up and down. Was it romantic, Mommy? Jessie gazed at Arissa with stars in her eyes, eager to know the answer to that question. Torn between laughing and crying, Arissa continued fibbing, it was very romantic. Benjamin eyed Jessie. Well, this little one is aware of the definition of romantic, huh? Hee hee. Jessie was on cloud 9, happy on behalf of Arissa. Meanwhile, Arissa's face was flaming hotly. Let's go downstairs first, Benjamin proposed. Immediately after, he descended the stairs with her. Zachary and Gavin exchanged a look. Why do I feel that something is off between them? Gavin shared his sentiments, but he was presently overjoyed at Benjamin and Arissa's marriage, so he chose to ignore it. Perhaps you're not used to it when Mommy is suddenly getting married to Daddy. Zachary was startled for a moment. Is that it? Tim's eyes shone like stars. Are you all going to watch the ceremony? I want to watch it. Let's go. Zachary grabbed Tim's hand and rushed down the stairs. Chuckling, Gavin called Oliver, Jasper, and Jessie to go downstairs with him together. Oliver leaned close to Jasper and whispered, Did you notice that Mommy wasn't wearing a ring on her finger? There certainly wasn't a proposal. No one proposes without preparing a ring. Jasper turned to his brother, feeling that it indeed made sense. I didn't even notice that earlier. Don't tell me it's because of Grandpa that they're registering their marriage. He wondered out loud. Oliver nudged his glasses. Well, that possibility does exist. Oh well, Mommy is getting the short end of the stick. Let's go and have a look first. Later, we'll have a chat with Daddy. Jasper's brows were scrunched together deeply. Gosh, how daft of Mommy that she didn't even bother fighting for her interests and foolishly agreed to marry Daddy. All 6 children trailed after the couple. Benjamin led Orissa to the study. They are all ready. Quick, go in and get your photo taken, Mr. and Mrs. Graham. They said all that's needed is to snap a photo and sign the form, Edwin gushed. Nodding in acknowledgement, Benjamin led Orissa into the room. Nervous beyond words, Orissa greeted the 2 employees alongside Benjamin. Nice to meet you, Mr. Graham. The chief, Keith Ziegler, inclined his head and regarded them with a smile. Verily, he was surprised to have been called over to register the couple's marriage. Thank you, Benjamin murmured courteously. Not at all. Are you both ready? If you're ready, we can snap a photo first and fill in the forms later. Keith personally walked them through the entire process. We're ready. Benjamin nodded. Following the employee's gesture, he went over with Orissa and sat down to have their photo taken. Take it easy. He turned and shot her a look. Okay. Orissa bobbed her head. At their striking countenances, the employee couldn't help taking a few more glances at them. Sit close and look into the camera here. Benjamin wrapped an arm around Orissa while Orissa moved closer to his shoulder. Staring straight into the camera, she naturally put on a smile. Smile, Mr. Graham. You'll look much better if you do so, the employee urged Benjamin. Orissa turned to Benjamin, nudging him lightly upon noticing that he wasn't smiling. You've got to smile. Okay. The corners of Benjamin's mouth lifted a fraction. At the sight of his stiff smile, Orissa's lips twitched. Are you not willing to marry me? She inquired softly. Snapping his head over, Benjamin glared at her. Of course not. Then, why is your smile so stiff? In truth, Benjamin was merely unaccustomed to wearing a happy smile in front of others. He composed himself and put on a more natural smile. The employee hastily captured it. The 6 children leaned against the door, observing the happenings in the room. Their eyes were all brightly lit and radiated curiosity. Mommy and Mr. Graham are really getting married. Jasper muttered. That's not quite right. They've really gotten married. Gavin was all smiles, as happy as a clam. All the other children nodded. Chapter 829. This is so sudden that it all feels like a dream. Oliver lamented. As Edwin watched them and listened to their remarks, mirth filled him. Kids, come and have breakfast with me. Afraid that they would barge in and disrupt the marriage proceedings, he wanted to take them away. We'll wait for Daddy and Mommy, Mr. Whitley. Gavin turned and explained. Then, he continued peering into the study. He just so happened to catch sight of Benjamin turning and dropping a kiss on Orissa's face. Orissa gazed at the man shyly. That scene was captured by the employee. The photo is done. You only need to fill in this form and ensure that everything is correct before signing at the signature column at the bottom. Got it. Benjamin took the form. Subsequently, he dragged Orissa to the desk to fill it in. The 2 of them sat there and filled in their particulars. The 6 children silently inched over and took a gander at it. Mr. Graham, Miss York, you've still got a worksheet to do. Tim queried. Upon hearing that, Benjamin and Orissa broke out into laughter. Yup, we've got to finish this piece of worksheet since we're getting married. We'll only receive a marriage certificate if we pass. Orissa stroked her son's head. Benjamin swept a gaze over the children. Go out and play first. We'll be done in a while. Sprawling on the desk, Zachary stared at him with wide eyes. We won't make any noise here, Mr. Graham. Oliver, Jasper, and Jesse followed suit. Gavin giggled, imitating his siblings' actions. Seeing that, Tim sprawled on the desk as well. With 6 petite figures doing the same action, it made for an adorable sight. Orissa beamed as she looked at her children. You're all here. Benjamin flicked her forehead. Hurry up and fill in the form. Turning, Orissa shot him a sidelong glance and snapped. Are you done? At that, Benjamin brandished his form. His writing was beautiful, his signature a flourish that carried power and vigor. The corners of Arissa's mouth twitched. Snatching her form away, Benjamin completed it at lightning speed and asked her to sign her name. The two employees from City Hall were shocked when they spotted the 6 children of the same age and looks. "Mr. Graham, are they all your children?" Nodding, Benjamin handed them both the forms. "Do check and see whether there's anything missing or incorrect." Keith took it from him and looked it over. "Everything is in order." The employee quickly put away the information while Keith personally stamped everything. With that, 2 marriage certificates came into being. "Congratulations on your marriage. May your marriage be filled with love for the rest of your lives." "Thank you." Benjamin tilted his head in thanks. "Thank you," Arissa echoed sweetly. Excitement surged within her as she stared at the marriage certificate in her hand. "I've finally gotten married. And I married Benjamin. Thank you for making the trip, Mr. Ziegler." Benjamin offered them coffee. "Not at all. It's our job anyway. We've still got something else to do, so we'll take a rain check on the coffee." Keith congratulated them further before he left with the other employee. "Your children are really adorable, Mr. Graham. Are they sextuplets?" "Yup." Pride was written all over Benjamin's face. "That's icing on the cake. We'll be leaving, then." Keith's eyes were inexorably glued on the 6 children. "I'll see you out." Benjamin saw them out. Arissa quickly trailed behind the man. At that, all 6 children followed suit. "Goodbye, sirs." They then waved at the employees. Keith and the other employee were wholly captivated. "I'm really envious of you both that you have 6 children in one go. They're so cute." They couldn't resist caressing the children's heads. "Thank you." Arissa wore a motherly smile on her face. Keith inclined his head at them before leaving with the other employee. "Have a safe drive back." Arissa cried out. Benjamin stood beside her, watching as the car drove off. Chapter 830, "Let's go in and have breakfast." Benjamin turned and said to Arissa. Then, he took the marriage certificate in her hand away. "I'll take this." Arissa jerked her head over, puzzled. "Why are you taking mine? You've got your own." "No. I'm going to store them together." Benjamin placed the 2 marriage certificates together. "Can we have a look at them, Daddy? We've never seen one." Gavin brushed up against the man and looked up at him while asking that. "I want to have a look, too." Going over, Zachary gazed at Benjamin. "Me, too." Oliver, Jasper, and Jesse did the same. Tim's eyes lit up, and he murmured, "I'd like to have a look as well." Benjamin's lips twitched. He handed the 2 marriage certificates to the children. "Be careful that you don't tear them." "Okay." All 6 children nodded. Taking them from him, they passed them around among themselves. "Hee hee. It's beautiful." Jessie grinned as she looked at the couple's photo. Since Arissa hadn't had a look at the photo, she poked her head over. The instant she saw that it was that of Benjamin kissing her on the cheek, her face flushed bright red. All right, you've all seen enough." The 6 children burst into laughter. "Mommy is shy," Jasper announced loudly as he stared at her. At once, Arissa knocked him on the head. Jasper rubbed his head in aggravation. "I was only speaking the truth." HMPH. Mommy looked beautiful. Gavin wore a spellbound expression. Mr. Graham looked very handsome, too. A smile bloomed on Tim's face. He couldn't understand the words on the certificate, so he merely studied the photo. "No wonder the 2 of you dressed identically. It looked great on camera." Zachary regarded Arissa and Benjamin, all smiles. "There's embossing on the photo, so it's legal," Oliver commented smilingly after touching the photo. "Of course, it's legal." The 2 men earlier were employees of City Hall, Benjamin said to the children, his lips quirking a fraction. The 6 children eyed him for a moment before they continued scrutinizing the marriage certificates. Arissa snapped a photo with her phone. Benjamin swung his gaze at her. "Why did you do that?" Throwing him a glance, Arissa deliberately asked, "I want to post it on Instagram." "Is that okay?" "Sure. Indeed, we should be making a public announcement." Benjamin looked exceedingly solemn. Conversely, Arissa was stunned. "Does he really have no objections to it?" "I'll announce it in a while." Benjamin gazed at her deeply. Her cheeks flushing bright red, Orissa gave a dry chuckle. Well, there's no need for such haste. Benjamin's eyes narrowed. His deep voice was tinged with a hint of authoritativeness as he asserted, I don't want to sneak around. In turn, the corners of Orissa's mouth twitched. Neither do I want to sneak around, but I haven't prepared myself for that. If my colleagues were to learn about it, they definitely wouldn't be able to accept it right away. How am I to work henceforth? Besides, if everyone knew that I'm Benjamin Graham's wife, they'd undoubtedly keep a distance from me. Mr. Graham, how about not publicizing it first? Things are perfect like this. If you were to make it public, how would I work henceforth? Fearful of my identity, others wouldn't dare say a word even if they have complaints. Benjamin snorted softly. For some reason, I feel that she doesn't want to acknowledge me. You're pretty considerate of the company. Of course, I love my job. Orissa looked at him innocently. However, Benjamin shot her a glare. Why don't you want to announce it? Orissa sneaked a peek at him. It's not that. I'm just not prepared. Before today, I'd never imagined that I'd marry him on the spur of a moment, okay. When he agreed to register his marriage with me last night, I was still finding it rather surreal. But it turned out that we really registered our marriage today. It doesn't quite feel real. Wrapping an arm around her slender waist, Benjamin leaned down and whispered into her ear, why do I have the feeling that you want to conceal your marital status to seduce other men? Orissa's lips twitched violently. She snapped her head over and glowered at the man. When did I ever do that? I only ever seduced you. No, I didn't seduce you. You were the one who seduced me.